BB4 Straight Black Pride brothers and sisters. It's your brother DC Radical 1 with another Radical Report. And today we will talk about the Epstein files that apparently do not exist, according to Pamela Bondi and Mr. Patel from the FBI. Now, I have talked about the Epstein issue years ago. It is my belief that Mr. Epstein was running a honeypot operation. It is well known that he is or was a Mossad asset, that his partner and I guess lover, Ghislaine Maxwell, her father was a Mossad agent, Robert Maxwell, which is of course not his birth name. And so this operation was a Mossad operation. It is also well known that Mr. Trump was friends with Mr. Epstein years ago, all the way back in the 90s. And so that there's a connection there. And that is leading people to believe that the reason that we don't have a client list, which they are denying that there's a client list, they're also saying that Mr. Epstein unalived himself, died by suicide, which was the initial ruling by a doctor in that field. And so this is what we're left with. We're left with the official story being that Jeffrey Epstein committed suicide in a New York area jail while in confinement, and that he had no list of clients. Now, this makes it difficult. This gives Miss Maxwell, I believe, a legal out of her charges, because she's in jail, if I'm not mistaken, and maybe I need to go back and look at the case again. From my understanding, she's in jail for sex trafficking. Now, if there are no clients, then how can one be convicted of trafficking, right? So, what we have here, in my humble opinion, is a clear cover-up. The cover-up benefits the president because of his ties to Mr. Epstein. And, of course, I believe that the call comes from above. I believe this call comes from above the head, not only above Patel and Bondi and any of those people. I believe this call comes from above the head of the president. I believe this call comes from to close this case, to not dig further, to not bring out the information, to not bring out the people that I believe involved, including people like Mr. Gates, Bill Gates, and others, Mr. Clinton, and other very notable people that if we saw their names on the list, we would know exactly who they are. I believe that the call to just close this out without further investigation and without exposing the clients, without exposing the people who rode on the, as they call it, the Lolita Express, without showing who was on the island and at what times and all those things. I believe that this call comes from the Mossad, or also known as the Israeli Secret Intelligence Service. For those who are unaware, the Mossad is in essence, the CIA of the state of Israel. Now, we know and we understand that AIPAC, the American Israeli Public Affairs Committee, has nearly all of Congress in their pocket. We also know that people like Sheldon Adelson's wife, I believe her name's Miriam, I'm not 100% sure, that she has donated untold amounts of money to Mr. Trump. And I believe that these people, they want Mr. Trump in office now because he's shown himself amenable to doing the things that they want to do. And also, I believe that if the American people understood the methodology of influence that AIPAC uses, that Mossad uses, and that if they knew that their politicians were compromised because of untoward, illegal, salacious activity between members of Congress and underage girls, and sometimes probably, I'm sure, underage boys, even though this would not be the first time in history. I believe that revelation, that exposure of that type of activity in this day and time, and then connecting it with the state of Israel, connecting it with Israeli intelligence, and possibly connecting it with, let's say, Hollywood, the music industry, banking industry. If you start making all of these connections in the public to the state of Israel and showing their undue influence over government officials in this day and time, this type of bombshell could really alter American politics. I believe that it could make the unwavering support for Israel, make that a lot more difficult to make the public swallow that pill. Even now, as we speak, there are a lot of people questioning the amounts of money that the U.S. government gives to Israel. There are people stating that they don't want their children or themselves to die in a war for Israel when the 12-day war kicked off. And so, if we're just being honest, in America, amongst the American public at this time, the state of Israel itself is probably less popular than it has been at any time in the 21st century. And if you connect Mr. Epstein with a honeypot operation that connects members of Congress or members of the government and other well-known people with some type of untoward child trafficking organization, if you connect all those dots, it'll blow the roof off of American politics, and who knows what will take place. And so I believe that's the reason why this is being covered up. I believe it's a cover-up. I believe it's being covered up. I believe that Mr. Trump does not want this exposed. I believe that Mr. Netanyahu, because he feels that Mr. Trump is useful, he doesn't necessarily want it exposed. I believe the members of the Israeli Mossad don't want this exposed at this time, because then Trump is not useful. And who knows what other persons are involved in this situation. We know that I believe it was Prince Andrew was involved in this situation. I believe Bill Gates is involved, and I believe there are a lot of high up officials, royalty, WEF members. I believe there's a lot of people involved in this stuff. And again, as I said, much like I believe Mr. Combs was running, I believe that this was a honeypot operation. I just believe that it was far more sophisticated, and it was running for years, far more sophisticated than what Mr. Combs was running. But I believe Mr. Combs was doing the same thing. Remember, Sean Combs, P. Diddy, Puffy, whatever, he had videotapes of all these activities that were taking place. And so these cases are tangentially related. And the fact that no higher up people have been brought to forget being brought to trial. No higher up people have been brought to the stand to testify in these cases. And the fact that the cases just end with one person in essence. The Combs trial was weird because you got a conspiracy trial with only one person. That never made sense to me. So I knew his chances of getting off were large. In the case of Mr. Epstein, you got in essence two people being charged with running an operation that's been going on for years. And so I think that we can see very clearly that these cases were not properly prosecuted. In fact, not even properly investigated, because the people who were involved did not want these things to be properly investigated, because where the investigation would lead and the number of people that would be swept up in a real investigation, if a real investigation ever took place into the Epstein affair and things were followed, the evidence was followed to where it would lead, it would overturn the apple cart on the current world order. And so that's why we have this big nothing burger in essence of an investigation, a big nothing burger of a revelation, and the fact that we don't know anything more now than we've known before. And so it'll be interesting to see how the Trump supporters, the MAGA people, some of which have been waiting for this for a long time, many of which have believed that there was a grand conspiracy connected to Mr. Epstein. It'll be interesting to see how they swallow this explanation and whether they will continue to support Mr. Trump going forward, or will this lead them to seeing him as part of the swamp that he was supposed to be draining in his second term as president of the United States. So with that, brothers and sisters, I thank you all for listening and watching. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. I am your brother DC Radical 1. And with that, I say a BB for ODA and straight black pride. Thank you for watching this video. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Also follow us on our other social media platforms. On Instagram, we're at dc.radical1. On Twitter, we're at dc_radical_ONE. And the Cashapp is $DC Radical 1. Again, thank you for subscribing. A BB for ODA and straight black pride.